Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions, your premier platform for real-time global insights. I want to do a quick review of last weekend's storm system. We're going to start off with storm reports over here on the left. Down here on the bottom left, I have the storm reports from last Friday. And I got to be honest, even given our analysis on Thursday and early Friday morning, the potential for severe storms in parts of the panhandle of Texas here were pretty low, yet we still had a squall line that's kind of snuck through there, producing several reports of strong to severe winds. We were really focused mostly on what was going to happen on Saturday, which was right into this area, and our analysis, what we did and what the Storm Prediction Center did quite well with picking up on that severe threat. Well, I'll tell you something. As we get through this video, we're going to be seeing that severe weather threat moving back to the west again over that same region which was hit last Friday. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. I think one of the bigger problems we had with this last system, in addition to the severe weather, was again, we put down a bunch of rainfall. Look at the map over there on the right. A bunch of rainfall across places that are just completely soaked right now. You can kind of take a look at those amounts. I mean, just look at this. Over the last 30 days, we have seen, this is what the map is in the upper left-hand corner, we've seen this area just picking up a huge surplus of rain. Meanwhile, down here along the Gulf Coast, getting back into Texas, things have been a bit drier. This is kind of the cotton and peanut belt down here. Now, we're going to see some changes for the Gulf Coast and for Texas coming up, but we'll also be seeing more precipitation being put down with this next system in this same area. We're already getting flooding with a lot of our river gauges. When we kind of compare that to the current soil moisture anomaly, that's the map in the bottom right, wherever you see the number 100 here, that's 100 millimeters, that's about 4 inches of surplus moisture that's already in the soil. Well, we've got one more major system to endure, and then I've got some very good news about this longer term pattern. But with this next system, my biggest concern is going to be where we put down right into this area a whole bunch of more snow. You see, the map I just drew that on is the snow water equivalent map. So we're looking here at how much water is in the snow that's sitting on the ground. You know, we're already flooding this area here, and we have all of this snow up here in the north central plains that still has to melt, and there's an enormous amount of water in that that's going to go into the headwaters of all of the tributaries to the Mississippi. I think our main threat this early spring is going to be the continual flooding problems that we're dealing with here. Meanwhile, come out west with me. This map here shows you the basin average snow water content. Wherever you see numbers over 100, that means they're over 100% of normal for this time of year. And essentially, if you're outside of Washington State, things look really, really good, although they don't even look that bad in Washington State. To see numbers above 70 is really good. Some of these areas that have the really high numbers, we're getting avalanche warnings. We've seen that in Colorado and all throughout the Intermountain West. So be careful if you're out there traveling through the mountains in the coming days. The avalanche warnings, the avalanches have been happening quite frequently. Now let's come back to that snowfall threat. What I have over here on the left, I want you to look on the left first, is the European model ensemble forecast for picking up at least another 6 inches. So it's the probability of that. And the next system that we have emerging Tuesday into Wednesday of this week is going to be potentially record setting for how low the atmospheric pressure is going to be right in through here. And with the warm moist air that it's drawing up, we will actually be seeing what's called upslope flow. That's where the airflow comes up and rises up there in parts of Colorado, western Nebraska, and Wyoming, and it's aided. The lift is aided by the elevation, and we may potentially right in through this area put down a swath right in through here that may be a lot of snow, depending on where the band's set up. From there, it's going to progress toward the north and east just like this. Why no snow here? It is just going to be very, very warm. Now, the map over on the right is showing you the probability over the next week at picking up an additional inch of rainfall. You can see that Texas is now getting in on the action of this heavy rainfall, and we bring some of that rain down toward the Gulf Coast. Unfortunately, this hits a region that already has been having a lot of flooding. So we just have to endure this last system, and you'll see some of the changes coming up. Storm Prediction Center, they've got their eye on Texas really Tuesday afternoon into the overnight hours. And so this is where we have our greatest risks for some severe weather. Let's take a close look at it here. The main wave creating this is right now sitting off of Southern California. And what's so important about this wave is I'll kind of draw for you here. Right where I'm moving the cursor, this tells us we have a positive tilt on this trough. what's going to happen is this trough is going to swing so rapidly through Texas that it'll have a negative tilt by the time it gets to Texas. And this is just a textbook case for rapid intensification of one of these low pressure systems. And a little piece of another short wave is going to come out of the Pacific Northwest and join up with it. And the two things together are going to make for a powerful low. Now, what are we going to be seeing in the near term? Well, there will be some widespread scattered showers and thunderstorms that are going to stretch through this area throughout the day on Monday into Tuesday. We're going to see an initial push of moisture that will come up just like this and some into Illinois as well. And then the main event will emerge toward the end of the simulation. So this is our high resolution look from the NAM model over the next really 60 hours or so. So let's kind of play this and see what's going to happen here. Notice the scattered showers throughout the day on Monday, pressing through parts of Mississippi, Alabama, getting over toward Georgia and South Carolina by evening. We see another round of showers and storms moving through parts of Oklahoma. Again, this is not the main show. This is the first round. This is Monday night. That gets over into Arkansas. You're then going to see, as the system emerges, widespread scattered showers moving through parts of Iowa, moving, again, get back down there to parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. But then look at this. That first pulse moves through Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, and then there's the main show right there. Let me step it back and show it to you again. This large frontal squall line pushing through parts of Texas, potentially producing some strong damaging winds. Storm Prediction Center is also looking out for hail, and we may see some embedded rotation, which means tornadoes. Now, this is just the beginning of this system, and as all of that warm, moist air gets wrapped right here, this is where our big snowfall event is going to be setting up with some of that upslope flow. So just getting through early morning on Wednesday, this is through 8 a.m., you can see the heaviest rains are going to be in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and of course back in the Four Corner states where this big upper level trough emerges. Here's the scattered showers and storms early. This is Monday into early Tuesday morning going across parts of the southeast. Now, what is the European model picking up on? Because it's going to be able to give us that longer term view. Well, let's get right to it. This is now Tuesday overnight getting into Wednesday morning. Here's where that low pressure system emerges, and look at the spacing of the isobars. With each one of the systems that's hit us over the last week and a half, we've had incredibly strong winds, and this is just another one that's going to do this. Now, because of the high pressure sitting over the mid-Atlantic, we are going to pump very warm air, you'll see it in a few minutes, pretty far to the north on some very strong winds out of the south, okay? But notice this, where we get that wrap around, the upslope flow aids in the lift, and we're going to see some very heavy snow into this area. In fact, blizzard conditions given the strong wind. So we'll have to watch the all hazards weather map to see this one emerge. Now, as we get into the day on Thursday, the heavy rain is going to be spreading into Tennessee. And I'm sorry to say that again, but that's what we're going to get out of this system. So some more strong thunderstorms, some heavy rain moving through that area. But as this system leaves, please watch this with me. You ready? Yeah, the wind is going to be there throughout the end of this week. But notice what you don't see as I go to Saturday, next Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We don't see another one. The pattern has changed. Let's talk about it, okay? First, both the European model on the left and the GFS, that's US model on the right, are both in pretty good agreement about where this heavy snow is going to be. Now, don't look at this and pick out amounts. We're trying to figure where the heaviest snow bands are going to be. The biggest differences in the model, when I just kind of glance at it here, are really going to be in parts of North Dakota, with the European model bringing heavier snow farther north. But overall, they both got this pinned down. So this is the region we're going to be getting the most snow in the blizzard conditions, at least over the next 5 days. In terms of rainfall here, before we look at that pattern shift, you can see that, yeah, Texas, Kansas, getting up in Nebraska, eastern Nebraska gets a lot of rain here, and so does Oklahoma. But we're also bringing a lot of rain into a region that's completely saturated. That would be the Tennessee Valley and the lower Mississippi River Valley. But the only place that really gets away unscathed would be the Carolinas, getting down into parts of Georgia. Now watch, are you ready? This is fantastic news. Our two waves, see the one on the northwest, see the one over the Baja, they phase right here and initiate a potentially record-setting low-pressure system. This is a lot of inflection. This is great upper-level divergence. Okay, let's get past it. We know the warm air is out ahead of it under that ridge, but that trough, because the flow is unblocked, slides east. Now, as it slides east, as we get out to the 18th, 19th, and 20th, this is key to our upcoming pattern. This is the positive PNA pattern. Look at the big ridge out west, and that dives into this trough over the east. this is an area of upper level convergence. This is not favorable for a lot of rainfall or snow. Now, if this was middle of summer, we would love to see this pattern in the Midwest. We would hate to see it out west, but love it in the Midwest because of the northwest flow and thunderstorms. But right now, we don't have all the ingredients for that, so this is going to be a drier pattern. And then the really good news is, even though we're going to spend much of the third week of the month cooler than average in the eastern part of the country, the European ensemble, as does the GFS ensemble, picks up on a bit of a flatter pattern moving forward, and that will allow some warmer air to get back in. Ready? Here is your temperature pattern over the next 15 days. Next system comes in, look at this. This is Wednesday, getting into Thursday. Look at the warm air spreading to the north out ahead of this next big system. Now, as the trough swings through, yeah, we cool back down. But here's the thing. The temperature anomalies that we're seeing here, they're 1 to maybe 5, 6, 7 degrees cooler than average, not 25 or 30 degrees cooler than average. So even though it's still cooler than average, this will feel warm to most of us because of how cold things have been. And then, as I told you, by the time we get into that third week and maybe the fourth week of March, the pattern is breaking down, and we're starting to see some more seasonable type spring weather with temperatures moving in. So we kind of get rid of the bitterly cold air, and it's not coming a moment too soon. All right, to finish this up, let's take a look at some bigger scale things. I want to show you some agreement between the European model over here on the left and the GFS, which is over here on the right. On the left, this is the next 15 days looking at precipitation anomalies. And look at that. You see the drier pattern here? Yes, this is welcome. All the rain that you see here, this is from the system that's going right now. But out west, we're also going to dry things down as well. This is just not a wet pattern moving into. Now, the map on the right is just showing you week 2. Because of the big low sitting in the Gulf of Alaska, we're going to be really hitting the British Columbia and Alaska coast with rain. We see week 2 is dry here, and week 2 is dry there, and it's wet down in the Gulf. And that is welcomed news. We need to dry things down so we can get this crop going in the southern Mississippi River Valley. Now, as we finish this up, I want to tell you about something I'm watching very carefully. We've seen over the last month cooler sea surface temperature anomalies emerge off the west coast of California, British Columbia, getting into the Central Pacific. This is what I want you to hear me say. If we see this area expanding like this, such that we bring, by the time June gets here, cool water everywhere that I'm coloring, that is something of major concern. Now, I'm not trying to raise the alarm bells right now, so don't hear me say that. I'm just asking you to watch this with me. If we keep seeing that cool down, that will be significant for the potential for summer heat and drought in the middle part of the country. Now, what's going to have to be fought against is the fact that right here, right now, there is an El Nino, and more than likely we're going to keep those warmer than average temperatures throughout much of spring and early summer, which means to get the cool weather in here is quite difficult to do. So conflicting things, but we're going to have to watch them both. But what this also brings me to is what's going on right now in South America. Now, if you think about Brazil, remember, we've got this first crop out, especially in Mato Grosso, which was a bean crop. The safrinha crop went in. It's actually about 2 weeks ahead of time. And some of that late season rainfall right in through here in Mato Grosso has been very beneficial for the safrinha crop. There's still a deficit overall over the last 90 days, but the late season rainfall in February has been quite good. Now, remember, for this safrinha crop right in this area, it's going to be our April and May rainfall that's going to make that corn crop big or not. So we're going to watch it very carefully over the coming weeks. We do pick up on a bit of a drier bias, and that is certainly conducive to what we see going on in the Pacific right now. Meanwhile, in Argentina, they've had some pretty good rainfall as of late. You can see that here in Cordoba, they have actually got a surplus of rainfall. Overall, we got this corn crop, this full season, or the early planted, so the full season corn here, 55% good to excellent. There was a bit of a frost down here in the southern region, but it didn't do much damage. At least we're not getting any reports of that. And over the next 10 days, Argentina looks relatively cool, which is kind of a crucial time of year for them to not have heat stress. So that's our update on South America. Let's finish with this. As we talked about last week's videos, we do see this region, and this is a very productive region of Australia, picking up on some rainfall over the next week or so, which is going to be crucial for the crops that are grown there. With that, though, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this forecast video. We at Nutrien Ag Solutions hope you look forward to our next ag forecast coming out soon. In the meanwhile, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.